Hello everyone, Switch here. This is going to be about the upcoming MLP movie that will be released in September of 2021. And it may contain spoilers, so you have been warned. If you don't want to be listening from now on, you have to be stopped listening from this point. Now, let's start. Ever since back in 2019, when we was told that the MG4 of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is going to be the last season, and that they still made season 10 in a comic series about based that had taken place shortly after season 9 ended. But even back in 2019, it was revealed there's going to be a movie that was taking place a gap between the G4 and G5. But ever since during the 2020, there were a lot of speculations about what's going to happen in the next movie and the next generation. There were a lot of details that had been released, some concept arts about the main six in the G5, which later turned out to be not even truth. The scenes that turned out to be the main six were not even going to be part of the G5. And now we also learned at some point later on, about only a few weeks ago, that G5 still is going to be part of Equestria. But I was well surprised when I first mentioned that G4 would be end about just suddenly like that, without any much explanations why suddenly ended as such great success of a show. But even though back in 2019 and during 2020, there were a lot of details that speculation, discussion, debating what is going to happen in May 5, during the G5 of MLP. Well, first of all, my question is like, who will be replacing the main six, and where will this taking place? Will it be in a whole new kingdom, a whole new universe? Like back in G1 and G3, they were totally separate. And since G4 happened, now we know. But we know now for sure G5 will still be in Equestria, and since one of the staff who will be working on the project of this show for quite some time says it would kind of be strange if they had to decide to make a whole new kingdom that based from a new generation. Well, even from that perspective, I basically agreed. But now, during 2020, there were still not even much about information about this upcoming movie. Until this point, there is. But so far, this is the only short information that have been released about the upcoming movie itself. So even though we don't know for sure yet how many of this information will be taking part of the G5 TV show of MLP, but also, the official name of G5 is still a mystery, since G4 is Friendship is Magic. So I do wonder what will be about the G5's official name. But as we back on the G4 and G5, there's a lot of things that has been revealed. Like back in G4, there was a lot of different adventures that have been focused. But now, with G5 had taken place, what's going to happen? There were still speculations like to do some concept drawings, designs for the G4 about the main six, but later to be false. But at least for I believe. But a lot of things about that is strange to me, because ever since later Hasbro did announce back in 2020 that they decide to make a difference. They decide to bring a whole new cast of characters, which isn't that a bad idea? But here is the part from that what we know for sure it's gonna happen in G5. Ever since their released by only about a week ago, there were some new merchandise that has been by a picture of a bed sheets of three of the new characters for the G5. And it has even been released by Hasbro officially an animation part of an animating of the news of some of the new characters. I was very surprised at first when I heard about this. Like new characters, well, that is not a big problem because back in G4 they actually introduced new characters all the time, so that would not be much a big problem for me. But I'm still very curious and even cautious about the new G5 because we have no idea how this new generation will be like as compared to G4. But here's the information that has been so far released about G5's movie, and I will read it all of it as far as I can see. In the new movie, the pony world of Equestria had lost its magic. Friendship and harmony having been replaced by paranoia and mistrust. Ponies now live in separate by species. A named character named Sunny, as a faceless, idealistic young Earth pony, is convinced there's still hope for this divided world, but her slightly misguided and often hilarious efforts to change hearts and minds have left her branded as a misfit. She befriends a lost unicorn by the name Issy, who wanders innocently into the Earth pony town of Maritime Bay. The town had enough of both. Izzy and Sunny must embark on an epic adventure that will include a daring jewel heist, outrageous conspiracy theories, elaborate musical numbers, and the world's cutest flying parliamentarian. Their adventure will take them far away lands and force them to challenge the status quo by facing their fears and making new friends out of old enemies. The world Sunny has dreamed of her entire life could finally become a reality as Sunny and her newfound friends fight to prove that even little ponies can make a big difference. End quote. After reading all of this part, that was actually going to be part of the anime of the new movie. But my thoughts about this information reveals a lot more than we realized. For an example, like, now we know for sure it's going to be part of the question, but exactly which part of the tiny kingdom was going to start, like the city, the town itself named Maritime Bay, which, well, that's not even sure yet though. Still, it's a big country, a big kingdom. There's a lot of parts of the kingdom hasn't even has only been mentioned but never seen. So this possibly that might be like that. But also that the entire kingdom has lost its magic. Would that even include like Pegasi has lost control the weather and that the unicorns no longer can even perform spells anymore? Well, that might be an explanation from that part. But exactly what even here, like friendship and harmony, have been replaced by paranoia and mistrust. Well, I don't even know for sure, but what could have been cause of this change from mystery is a big mystery. But I really hope that at least that these more details might be revealed later on though, because it is a big mystery. And now, at even before the founding of Equestria, all the tribes lived separately. Pagans like for themselves and like that. But when the after foundation of the Equestria, all ponies lived together, like if for example in Ponyville there were both Pegasi, Unicorn, and Earth ponies. But now they all live in separate species. Like unicorns live in one city, Earth ponies in one city, like Sunny's hometown, by Maritime Bay. But there's a lot of things about that we may think is strange. But here's another part. Exactly how long has it been since G4 had ended? Well, according to one of those anime zero part clips what I've seen, we can see Sunny, an Earth pony, in her own bedroom. But according to this picture that I saw, we have figurines of the main six in a bookshelf behind her. She had some sort of pens on her saddlebag which contained Fluttershy, Twilight, and Rainbow Dash cutie marks. And she has a Celestia flag on her wall. She had a Rainbow Dash poster on her wall. And even though herself, she's a blank flag, she doesn't even have a cutie mark. But here's another thing. If there isn't any magic anymore in the question, would that even make the end after the cutie marks even appear? Because if we know that cutie marks is appearing when they discover a special talent, but if the magic somehow is gone, could that mean that no ponies will be born like after that point never gets their cutie marks? So all the generations that still has their cutie marks can remember the time before all this happened. But the main question is here though, what caused all of this to be in that friendship and harmony to be replaced by paranoia and mistrust? There is a lot of details that hasn't been even been revealed yet. But we do know for sure, at least there's information that even this seems a lot information, but also seem under may say this is not a much information to go on. Well, I agreed on one part. It might seem there aren't any much information on this just this part of the movie itself. But this but even we have to be in this talk to ourselves, like ask ourselves, what do we want for the G5 to be in like G4? Well, a lot of mysteries, a lot of adventures, which we can see here. So, what if the G5 movie is going to be like the first episode, unofficially, telling us, showing us how the thing started when the G5's season 1 starts, that Sunny and her new friends already had been on there traveling already? And that the movie itself can be like a prequel, like, or like some sort of start, how showing how this and whole the entire new adventure even started. But as it also mentioned, their adventures will take them to faraway lands to force them to challenge the status quo by facing their fears and making new friends of old enemies. So, which other faraway lands will we may see? It is possible we might see like Central Arabia, T-Rex homeland, or perhaps even the place where Sakura is from. Well, who knows? But what if that the main six also, even maybe they aren't going to be seen, or only perhaps just going to be mentioned, like after they have, assume there has been like 100 years since G4 ended, and at the beginning of the movie itself. And that all the adventures that from the main six, like Twilight and her friends, have been doing for protecting the kingdom, has faded into like myths, legends, only like fairy tales. Who knows? But even though we don't even know for sure exactly how long this has been ever since G4 and G5, and exactly what's the main catalyst that would cause that the ponies being believed being divided by like as a species, and that friendship and harmony have been replaced by paranoia and mistrust. There's a lot of things that we haven't even thought about. And even though the consider went back, but even long before G5's the movie information even came out, there were a lot of distrust or a lot of debating within the community, like will the next G5 will even be a good part as a new generation? But even long before we had the information about the movie itself or on the characters, well, who knows? But I knew for sure this new information still may bring new sparks of information or like new debating within the community on the fandom. Like, what will happen? What old enemies will be the new friends? Well, there is one of the two friends, the two enemies might, and I do say might, possible happen. But I'm not so even sure. But let's assume if there was nothing mentioned about old enemies, well, the only two enemies I do think of might be Tyrek and Chrysalis. And you may ask me why I considered Tyrek and Chrysalis. Well, let us say from this part that we know for sure Tyrek and Chrysalis are quite old. But exactly how old Chrysalis is, we have no idea. But let's assume she is at least a couple of hundred years old, and maybe a changeling has a very long lifespan. And with Tirak, we know that he has been around for 1,000 years, even since 1,000 years earlier, along with his brother Scorpion, and that he had spent time in Tartarus for a whole 1,000 years. But and now at the end of season 9, he and along with Chrysalis have been put in stone. Well, who knows? But there's a lot of things about this we have no idea what's going to happen in G5, the movie and series. But this part of this faraway lands, well, there is still brings hope, and even hopes for that it can be either like Saddle Arabia. We had only been mentioned about the series back in season 9 and before that, but never seen it. Never. Only seen ponies that's from Saddle Arabia. But also, even despite this, we have no idea. But as far as I can believe, after since main 6 is no longer going to be part of the G5 since who knows how long has been taking place between them. There were a lot of hopes that we would see Spike in G5. But I'm not so sure we will ever see him. Or at least as a guest character like that. Consider from at least if there has been 100 years like in from season G4 and G5 that take place though. Let's assume from that. There is a lot of details of that hasn't been told yet. But as we don't know exactly how long a dragon lives in an Equestria. Well, we don't know exactly in the within the MLP fandom, we don't even know how long a dragon's lifespan is. It could still maybe be as 100, or maybe at least maybe a couple of 100 years old. So even despite we know that back in season 9 ending, Spike himself looked to be in his early 20s or something. So let's assume if a dragon has a lifespan, let's say from maybe 3 to maybe 500 years, and if this has only been 100 years, Spike might still be alive, and he may he still be alive, and perhaps maybe helps the new cast. But I know that's only in my hoping, though, at least that he still might be appearing in the show itself. But as far as I know, Spike may not even be appearing in the G5, which many hopes he would. Along with a friend of mine, Cody, who loves Spike. And he had wished that he could appear in G5. So Cody, if you listen to this part, I'm not even so sure if Spike even will be part of G5, but if he even is appearing in the show itself, he might even just be mentioned as the friendship ambassador from G5, G4. So we don't know for sure yet. He still might be in a show, a chance that he still might appear in the G5, like in a flashback or something. But exactly what happened then, we don't know. There's a lot of much more details that has been if we can focus on. Like for example, what caused the ponies to live as a separate species? Well, that's one thing we don't even know for sure, but if we go back in the ponies' history, back before the foundation of the Equestria, there were a lot of mistrust among the pony tribes, along which caused the winter by the Windigos. But if there was such much mistrust behind each tribe, or at least a separate species again, why wouldn't the Windigos have returned once again? Well, maybe there isn't that much mistrust among the ponies, but exactly what caused them to live separately, well, we have no idea. But the thinking about that even including what the magic itself and the entire kingdom has been lost, it is strange. And even a lot including friendship and harmony have been replaced by paranoia and mistrust, which also makes a lot of question marks. What kind of caused that? Because back in G4 season 9 finale, we saw there has been years since after Twilight became the queen of the kingdom. You heard me right, queen, not the princess. Ponies, dragons, jacks, griffins, hippogriffs, changelings all live together as friends. So what point between season 9 episode, the final episode, the last problem, and the G5 beginning of the movie itself, what caused all these peaceful relations between all the kingdoms that were to be such being replaced? What caused all the ponies to live as separate tribes by species? Well, and I'm not even so sure about that yet though, since there's the only information that we have. But even considered that in fact that the ponies, as like it's mentioned, Equestria don't have any magic anymore. So what if that Sunny's new friend, the name unicorn by the name Issy, can't even perform spells herself anymore? But despite their earth ponies, unicorns still be born, but they cannot even perform magic anymore? Or what if alicorns themselves are almost never heard of? As we know that Celestia, Luna, Cadence, Flurry Heart, and Twilight is the only unique alicorns that we know of. But what if this had taken place a long time after all they've been gone? As one of the staff has previously said, Twilight won't be outliving her friends. So, who knows? But there is a lot of things that we have no idea, but especially the part, the daring jewel heist. What could that be about? Could that be maybe as part of the elements of harmony? Well, that is unlikely, as we all know, the elements were smashed into pieces by Chrysalis, or at least by Sombra, which is impossible for that being the elements. But it might be something else though. But we don't know. But there is one other thing, at least, of the main cast. Issy and Sunny is going to be part of the two main cast, along with a male pony, a stallion, to be as part of the cast. That do surprise me, but if we may have to take in place of this also, like I did mention earlier, the part when we see Sunny in her bedroom, we can see a bed lamp on her, like a nightstand table. That doesn't that piece of technology doesn't even appear at all in a previous G4, not even from season 1 to season 9. So it may have been some new technological development in the Equestria also, like a lamp has been discovered. But we may ask ourselves, what if those lamps are magical powered? But since we know Equestria has lost its magic, so that part might not even be reasonable. Like, why invent a lamp and suddenly the magic is gone, you can't even control or power it anymore? So, yeah. But it's still the same. A lot of things that still makes a big question mark. Like, what happened to the magic? What happened to friendship or harmony? And like, what caused the old species, the three tried to type opponents to live separately? And and what old enemies will be new friends? That is a lot of big question marks. But as we have to ask ourselves, like the magic, how did it be gone? If we know for sure at least one pony, Cosaglow, tried to drain the magic from Equestria, could that have been had some indirect part of causing it? Perhaps. But as we saw in the end of it, the magic returned to Equestria. So it may have some, perhaps, I don't know, some sort of indirect connection to why suddenly the magic is gone. But who knows? Even despite when Twilight was in power, she has She had maintained the peaceful relations with all other kingdoms, like the griffins, the dragons, and everything. But at some point after her ruling, all that fell apart. All tribes lived separately, the magic was gone, the friendship and harmony had been replaced by paranoia and mistrust. But what exactly caused all that to happen after that? Well, we cannot even say for sure now, but this makes a lot more interest in G5. Because even long before the G5's information even came out, there were some there were even some people who thought maybe G5 were not even going to be as good as G4. But now this information, it has sparked an interest in me. I'm very eager to see the movie of G5 and even the series. And also, the movie of G5 won't be on the movie theaters this year. In fact, it will be shown on Netflix. That is, I heard that the movie won't be on the movie theaters, only to be replaced to being seen on Netflix, the streaming service. So I might not be able to see the movie itself when it's on Netflix, since I don't even have it, which is from what I know. But still, all this information still a big question marks. What caused the magic to disappear? What caused the opponents to live separately? And what old enemies will be new friends? But I am very curious to know more about Sunny and Izzy and the male pony that's going to be embarked on these new adventures. I can actually see the passion in Sunny's dream that she wants to make the whole kingdom back as was before all this happened. She wants all the ponies to live friendly as just before all that happened. I can see how much Sunny is like Twilight and her friends all in one person, or at least one pony. She is so driven to make the whole world as she hoped to be as was before. And from that, I am very eager to know more about the show and even about this new generation. Despite in the previous will many were have a mixed feelings about G5 and what was going to happen. But now with this information about the movie is going to be part of, it has sparked a new interest in me, I'm very eager to know more about this. I can't even wait to September to see the movie itself. Hopefully I can though. Anyways, this is all information that I know what is being released and revealed to about for the public. So even there are among my viewers and my fans who may have heard something else, who knows? But if you have heard something else about the movie itself or some new information, let me know in the comment section below. I will eager to know more about the information. I am very eager to know more about the supposed new adventures that you're going to be a part of. Like, if you have your own theory, what can it cause the magic to be disappearing, or is it just got lost? And what happened that the old ponies lived separately? If you have any idea or any sort of theory, let me know in the comment section below. I